What is going on, Cyclone Nation? Chris Williams here with your Cyclone Fanatic Game Day show. Bright and early on your Saturday morning. Happy Halloween! I love Halloween. Huge fan. Williams clan was the Owl family last night here in Bondurant. Heck yeah. Today I'm going to be a Cyclone football analyst because let's be honest, I pretend to be one on most days. We're going to knock it out of the park today. We're courtesy, as always, of our friends at the Iowa Clinic and the Iowa Clinic Men's Center. I lied to you guys a couple of weeks ago. I said I was going to go and get my flu shot. I'm still going to go get my flu shot, but my little girl got sick, and I couldn't do it then. Going next week. I'll take pictures just to prove it. Get your flu shots. Get after it. It's more important this year than ever. Iowa Clinic and the Iowa Clinic Men's Center. God bless them. 5 things to look for today in the world of college football and for your Iowa State Cyclones. We'll start things off. Let's take a look at the entire Big 12 schedule today as we've got a lot of really important games going on. You see Kansas State on the screen right now. They've got a road trip to West Virginia today. It's a little bit bonkers. Why is Kansas State an underdog here, you ask? Vegas usually knows. I'd stay the heck away from it. In fact, I almost might pick West Virginia to pull off the upset here. Where else? Let's go to Stillwater where the Cyclones lost a heartbreaker a week ago. Man, I'm telling you what, this Oklahoma State team, they impressed me last week. I'm sold. I'm sold. I think they beat Texas today. 3.5-point favorite are the Cowboys. I think that they're the elite team in the Big 12 Conference right now. Let's go to Lubbock. Night game, 7 o'clock, Fox. Oklahoma on the road at Texas Tech. 14.5 points is what Oklahoma is giving up. I'm going to make a prediction right here. Oklahoma wins out. That's the best team in the Big 12 at the end of the season. They're not right now, but they will be at the end of the year. That defense is tightening up. I really like what I saw out of them last week in Fort Worth. I like Oklahoma tonight in that football game. Last but certainly not least, it's TCU at Baylor. Give me the Horned Frogs here. They're coming down a level of competition. The hard part of their schedule is behind them. TCU at Baylor, that is a 2:30 kick on ESPN2. Let's go to the varsity game. Go Clones! Well, it's not really the varsity game this week, but we're going to be very arrogant about it because that's what we do. I'm kidding. Iowa State shouldn't be arrogant about anything, but they should be confident as a 28-point favorite today on the road at Kansas. And that's just what I want to do. Just take care of business, fellas. Just take care of business. Show up, do what you can, play well. Iowa State should be able to win this game fairly easily. You're a 28.5, 29-point favorite. Just take care of business and get out of there. Now let's assume that they do that, which I think that they will as we move on to number 3 here in our Cyclone Fanatic Game Day show that is presented by our friends at the Iowa Clinic. I want to see progress from the offensive line. And I think that we will. I was very careful in an offensive line game where I didn't think the Cyclones played very well last week in Stillwater. We got to be careful because the Cyclones are down a lot of talent. Best lineman's out. Anchor and Joey Ramos is out. And we saw a lot of young guys go in there and struggle against probably the best defensive front, not named Iowa State, in the Big 12 last week, that being Oklahoma State. They gave them all sorts of problems. So what I'd like to see is some of those young guys go in there today in Lawrence and learn from some mistakes. I think that they will. I'm expecting a big day out of the Iowa State offensive line. And I also want to see some of those young guys coming in behind, get them some experience because they're only, an injury or two away from having to go in. Let's look at young Cyclones across the board. This should be an opportunity to be able to see the 2 young quarterbacks behind Brock Purdy, right? Again, you're only one hit away from needing to play a backup quarterback. Neither one of the freshmen have ever taken a snap at Iowa State. Let's get them some run today. What about Jyrell Brock at running back? Wouldn't somebody like to see him? What about some of these young wide receivers? I'd like to see more of Joe Skates. What can Joe Skates bring to the table today? And then, we talked about the offensive line. You go on the other side. A lot of really young Cyclones who we've heard so much about with talent, and I want to see more of them as we get into the depths of tonight's game, this afternoon's game. Hopefully, Iowa State's in a position to play them, but specifically at the quarterback spot. I want to see both of the freshmen out there, and I want to see how they look in a Big 12 football game. Last but certainly not least, and this goes without saying, and I'm kind of going back to number 5 too, but I want to feel good about this team exiting today. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go out and win the game by 50. You don't have to be perfect. It's hard to be perfect in a game like this. But I want to feel good about the Cyclones. I want to go to bed tonight feeling like the program took a step forward. I don't want to go into Kansas today and walk out with a bunch of injuries. I don't want to limp through this thing. I want to convincingly beat them. I don't worry about the point spread. Convincingly beat them. Get some work done. Get your lead. Know that you're going to get out of there with a win because that is most important. You don't take your opponent for granted. But let's get some work done. Treat the thing like a scrimmage when you get to that point. You didn't get a lot of that in the offseason. I think this game comes at a perfect time after your first loss of conference play to really build some confidence and practice some things. I want to see that. Y'all can say whatever you want. The team they're not thinking like this, but again, it's Halloween. I'm a pretend football analyst. This is what I want to see from the boys today in Lawrence. I'm going Iowa State 42. Kansas 7. I think the Clones go down there and roll. I'd like to see Connor Asali kick some field goals too, actually. At 42 points, I don't have him doing that, but I'd like to see his confidence build back up after a long week last week in Stillwater. Those are my 5 things to watch here on the Cyclone Fanatic Game Day show. Of course, we're going to have halftime coming up on all of the Cyclone Fanatic social media feeds. You stay tuned for that. Interactive means you guys can yell at us and you can say whatever you want about the game. We'll take your questions. Brett Meyer will be with me at the half. Jared Stansberry and Rob Gray with Cyclone Fanatics post-game report on all the platforms as well. We'll have instant reaction on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network and complete coverage of today's game as always. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsor, our friends at the Iowa Clinic and the Iowa Clinic Men's Center. Matt Van Winkle for producing today's program. I am Chris Williams here on a happy Halloween. Go Clones! Have a great Saturday, everybody.